First of all, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. And I'll let you know, as well as some of my followers, why I do this. As you know, I'm a realtor. And so one of the things I do when I talk to my clients is asking about like local politics. And one of the things I notice is that not a lot of people follow it. In fact, I think it's very sad considering that local politics is probably more important than federal politics, in my opinion. But yet everybody has an opinion. So thank you very much for joining me so that we can talk about Millbrae.
Of course. Yeah, it's great, to be on your stream, and you're right. I think a lot of people they get very concerned about federal politics, but the federal and what federal doesn't really affect their lives, their daily lives, as much as local politics. Local politics determines schools, your quality of life. A lot of elements of cost of living have to do with the decisions that we make on a more local and regional level, and things that immediately affect us, like the walkability of our communities, the services we receive, the businesses that we interact with. These are all local decisions. So you're right. Local decisions should not be overlooked. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm really I am passionate about federal issues, but I'm very passionate about the local as well, because I really think the changes that we make on a local level can be immediately felt, and the changes propagate across the community in a much quicker and tangible way than those that we make on the federal level.
Totally. And when we have more time, we can chat a little more about the federal level. How about that?
Yes, sure. Sounds good.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to Millbrae?
Sure. Well, I'm Yo Yo Xue. I am a son of two Chinese American immigrants from mainland China. I was born in Redwood City, raised right here in the Burlingame Millbrae area. My family purchased our first home in Millbrae in 2010, so nearly a decade and a half ago now. I attended local schools, and I started my business, a restaurant here in downtown Millbrae with my family close to 10 years ago. And after starting it with my family, then I took it on as my own thing. I just opened my fifth restaurant in Las Vegas. So, I've been really building it over the past sort of decade, and we've got a good pace going on. So that's kind of my day job, day job being restaurateur. I have quite a few employees now, and creating jobs in two states is something I really enjoy doing. And it helps me have enough income and spare time to do other things like politics. So, politics is something I like to do on the side. I definitely see a lot of issues that we could be solving, and this is not my first time running for office, so I definitely I definitely have a list of things I'd like to see done if I do have the privilege of getting elected.
Well,
So yeah, that kind
Yo-Yo,
of brings me to today.
let me kind of just interject real quick. And first of all, my family frequents Wonderful all the time.
Thank
Love
you.
that restaurant. I did a little review on my Instagram, and
I saw that. Yes, yes,
I
right.
hope a lot of people actually came, and it's just awesome place. And definitely, I hope people come and check you out. And regarding your businesses, I need to say this is that anybody running for public office has my admiration, right? Because you're doing this most likely because you're trying to do good, right? Because when you're talking about city council, like the local government stuff, you're never going to get rich doing it. That's for sure, right? So
Well, it depends. It depends who you ask. But yes, in principle, yes, I agree with you. This is a $900 a month job. It barely pays minimum wage. If you think about the number of hours that have to
ah,
go into this. But
exactly.
yes, yeah, you're right.
So that's why that's why I really try to highlight everyone that's running, because it's not easy, and it's immediately, certainly, it's not lucrative. I can say that, right?
Right. Yes. Right. Right.
So tell us a little bit more why you are running.
Well, I mean, I want to run because, like I said earlier, I'm trying to solve problems in the community. I'm trying to solve key issues for people. I'm trying to bring new vision to the city because I live here. I'm a stakeholder, right? And people are stakeholders in their community in various ways, right? And a popular way is, for example, owning a home, right? And people say, well, look, this is my life's work, my life's investment. I like to make sure my investment is in a good place. Other people say, well, look, I have children that I'm raising in the community. It's really important that we keep it safe. And I don't have any kids, but my form of stakeholdership is I have my parents who are aging. They live here in the city. I live with my parents, and I own a business here. And I think my business ownership in the community is a unique way of only so many people in Millbrae can say that they own a business in downtown Millbrae. I'm the only candidate to do so. And with that, I bring a certain vision, a certain perspective. I see the challenges that Millbrae has had. Millbrae's biggest challenge right now is its economics. And who better, in my opinion, to bring a new vision related to the economics of the city than someone who has lived, experienced, and sort of managed the economics of a Millbrae business for the past, decade or so.
Sure. Now, let me read you a quote, and this is according to Mateo Daily Journal. Xue is more of an outside the box thinker with a connection to downtown business community. And it does go on a little bit. Now, in your opinion, why do they think you are an outside the box thinker?
Well, first, I would say that's from the endorsement piece from last Friday, I think.
Mhm.
I think if you read it and you compare it to other endorsement articles that the editorials that the journal has issued in previous years and in this election, they're very, very reserved in their endorsement of my opponent. And I think they're trying their best to balance the fact that we have two very talented candidates, and the journal is trying to show a little bit of loyalty to somebody who's been in office for 8 years. So I think they had a very difficult job to do there, and they were trying to throw me a compliment. So that's why they said, "Look, like this guy's an out of the box thinker." I'm out of the box because I'm bringing untested ideas, ideas that have not untested necessarily. Untested makes it seem like these are crazy ideas. They're not. They're just ideas that have been untested for Millbrae, right? Millbrae has not tried these new solutions. I've been calling, for example, to create a business improvement district in Millbrae. I've been calling for all sorts of new solutions to the existing issues. And I think the journal, when we had a discussion, the journal asked about all sorts of things from, the schools to public safety and everything in between. And I was there, I think, providing new ideas. And compared to my opponent and maybe others that they've interviewed, my leadership will be defined by vision. I think my leadership will be defined by a long-term plan. I think, Bert, anybody can run a city, right? And I think, the city in some ways runs itself. We have very talented city staff, right? We have a city manager. Um, if we just had two new appointed council members in Millbrae who have zero, not only political experience, but experience sort of interacting with the daily duties of a council member. And I think in the end we'll be fine because people can take care of the city, but taking care of the city and keeping the lights on, that's different from taking the city into a new direction, into a new chapter. And that's what I've called for. I've said, look, like, Millbrae has been the same for as long as I've known it, right? The downtown's always been the same. We've always been struggling with the same concerns. How can we come in and establish a new chapter in Millbrae's history? So that's, I think, what the journal was kind of alluding to.
Okay. Well, along those same lines, before I come and talk with any of the candidates, I try to do a little research. And so one of the things that your opponent is kind of saying is that there's going to be a huge turnover on the city council. And what the city needs is more stability, someone who's been around a little bit longer. Is that a concern for you?
Not at all. And I think my opponent has repeatedly tried to make that an issue. The reality is, my opponent, when he was elected, he had zero political experience. When anyone was elected onto the Millbrae City Council for the first time, they had no experience on the Millbrae City Council. That's that's how that works, right? You don't have, it's like asking for 5 years of experience for an entry level job, right? It's like, where am I supposed to get the entry level experience if I can't get this entry level job, right? But anyways, back to your question. Millbrae does need stability, but people should not confuse stability for banality, lack of action, right? We can be stable, but pursue growth. We can be stable and pursue new vision. We can be stable, but change the direction of our downtown, right? And I think my opponent, if you listen to his candidate forum and the speech he made at the beginning and end. I mean, he was reading the exact same statement that he was reading from 4 years ago. Sorry, from 6 years ago, and it's lacking in vision. And I think he tries to portray me as somebody who's too young, too reckless, right? And my age has been, I'm 27 years old, right? So that's been targeted by my opponents both in this election and previously, as like a source of concern, because I think young people are seen as people who are, less stable and less responsible, perhaps. But the reality is, Bert, I've run a business. I've been responsible for over 60 employees, and their well-being, the well-being of their families, the well-being of my community. Running business in a really stable and ethical way. And I led my business through COVID 19. I didn't lay off a single employee. We kept the lights on. We were a service here for our community. So I don't think anybody can credibly accuse me of being somebody who's less stable. And I would argue that I have more experience, actually, leading in a stable way, in an experienced way.
Got it. Got it. It's a great answer. Great answer. And so I live in Mills Estate in
Hmm.
Millbrae. And I want to shout out to you. I think in your previous campaign, you actually knocked on my door. We had a conversation. You probably don't even remember this, but I was thoroughly impressed with our conversation. Anyways, one of the things being in Mills Estate, I literally see the difference between Burlingame and Millbrae. I'm doors down from Burlingame, basically. And what is kind of your plan, if elected, is to kind of build up the infrastructure of the city?
Well, regarding knocking on your door, I have to confess, I don't remember, but I'm happy to hear that we were able to chat previously. Really, because I think that's really important. In 2020, I spent close to 3 full months walking. I walked every single door in Millbrae, on foot, right? And I didn't. Other people depend on volunteers to just throw flyers into people's
Mhm.
mailboxes and doors and things like that. I took the time to talk to voters, and my campaign over the years has been shaped by conversations like the one that you and I had. I don't remember the specifics, but obviously I take everybody's feedback, I aggregate it and implement it into what I do and what I say, because I think that's the whole point of running for office. But regarding infrastructure, I mean, what people should realize is Millbrae struggles financially. And what I hear a lot is confusion, because people say, well, hold on a second, right? I live in a nice house, right? I'm sure you live in a beautiful home in the Mills Estates, and those homes, are not being priced in the six digits, right? They're pricier and they're nice, right? And then people are saying, well, I live in a nice home. I feel like I pay a lot of property taxes. Where's all this money going, right? And the reality is, property taxes do not go to cities; they go to the county, and the county gives cities about 15. I think the figure is 15.88%, if I'm not mistaken. Most of it goes to school districts, and then it goes to the county, and then goes to some county programs and things like that. And Millbrae receives, like a fifth of 1% of these property taxes, and Millbrae can barely afford to pay its bills. I mean, remember, like, we don't have a police department. Our downtown looks the way it does. We have our parent volunteers begging for donations to fund our schools, right? So we're not this, like, we may be house rich, right? But
Mhm.
we're not city hall rich. We've had a hiring freeze at city hall, and I guess, back to your question about infrastructure, we don't have money, so I think a lot of
Well, Yo-Yo, let me rephrase
yeah,
the question. Let
sure,
me
sure, tell me.
rephrase
Yeah,
the question a little bit.
yeah,
So it's my theory is that if we can drive revenue and make more money for the city, that will provide us more revenue to increase the infrastructure. So I guess I want to bring it back to what your main objective is improving the downtown.
right,
Would that
right.
be fair?
You are you are correct in the sense that um if we were able to achieve this downtown improvement, we would have a we could begin to see sort of the basis for improving our infrastructure. The basis for improving our infrastructure, don't get me wrong, is just money. It's just a money issue, right? And we have money coming in from state funds, for example, right? We have the SB1, the gas tax, right? So people who fill up their vehicles, they're paying into gas tax, and then the gas tax is being remitted to cities, right? And don't get me wrong, the money is being used to improve our roads, right? But I live on the east side of El Camino Real. I mean, you see our roads here; they're really not that great.
Mhm.
Millbrae, according to the MTC, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, has the second worst roads in San Mateo County. We're just ahead of Pacifica, I believe it is, and that's not a statistic we should be proud of. So, step zero would be, I say step zero because it's not even step one. We don't have the foundations to talk about this issue. We need to start with economic development. Where else to start with economic development than our downtown to respect our existing business owners? Once we get that sorted, then we can talk about infrastructure.
Got it. All fair.